Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
That is correct. We are loud, live, and local on this fine Tuesday morning. Welcome to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, and of course, Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. And man, I'm really excited. I know this might come as a shock to you, but I'm excited to go to a Magic game tonight.
You're actually attending?
I will be attending the Magic game tonight. I'm really excited to go, hang out, watch Vooch probably put up a triple-double against the Pistons.
Yeah, Magic. Could they get their fourth win in a row tonight against the Pistons? Speaking of the Magic, we will have Magic GM John Hammond on our show today at 8:15 a.m. Do you know where John Hammond got his start in athletics? You guys will appreciate this, being the high school coaches that you are. And Austin, you'll really appreciate this. John Hammond got his start as a high school coach where? In Nebraska.
Whoa, really?
Yep.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
So we'll ask John Hammond about that. Also ask him about the Magic winning streak and a bunch of other stuff. Coming up at 8:15, Adam Shadoff, Fox 35 sports anchor, will join us at 8 a.m. I want to get Adam's take on the controversial Rudy Giuliani comments about Michelle Wee West. Used to be Michelle Wee, but now she is Michelle Wee West.
Hold on. Those aren't just controversial comments. Those are gross comments.
Yeah.
All right. Let's not sugarcoat what those comments were.
No. They're creepy comments.
Yeah.
The creepy comments of Rudy Giuliani about LPGA golfer Michelle Wee West, because Adam Shadoff's wife is an LPGA golfer. So we'll talk to him about that at 8 a.m. this morning. We'll talk to you other hot topics as well. We have your chances to win $1,000 twice this morning, as we do every morning at 7:10 a.m. That's your first chance. And then at 8:10 a.m. as well. Two chances every morning. Make an appointment. 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m. to win $1,000. The Open Mic early morning inspirational quote of the day comes from Larry Page, who once said, and I quote, "Always deliver more than expected," end quote. If some of the restaurants I went to would only take that advice.
The courtesy fries, man. The fries at the bottom of the bag.
I love this. I love this saying. And you know who I think should listen to this? People think that this is for the employees. The employers need to start listening to this.
Yes.
And Mike, you probably position this because, even though you're a player, sometimes you're kind of like a man of management, too. You want the worker to work extra hard.
Absolutely.
How often do you look into your paycheck from either the Sentinel or iHeart and go, hey, that was more than I expected?
Yeah.
They delivered me more.
I can tell you this. I've not had that issue. I would say that most people out there driving around goes, yeah. What if I do give more than expected at work? When do I get more than expected? Here's the problem with that. The more you give more than expected, guess what becomes expected?
The more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't do more than expected, people. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a trap.
Here's your inspirational quote of the day. Do what you're paid to do, nothing more.
That's it. Get what you pay for. Give what they pay for. You get what you pay for.
There you go.
There's a life lesson
I'm
for
going to
you.
start interpreting my own inspirational quotes of the day. You guys are making a joke out of it. Okay? If that's what you want to do, make a joke out of the inspirational quote of the day. You go
Mike, let me
right
show you my
ahead.
bank account. I'm not joking.
Ain't no joke here, Mike.
All right, that is our inspirational quote of the day. You can call us, by the way, if you want to get in touch with us. Many ways to communicate. 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 96.9 The Game. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line 50857. What I want to start with this morning, I have a whole array of things I could start with. I want to start with this because it's been a good long while since the quarterback prospect headed into the NFL draft with a sort of hype surrounding Clemson's Trevor Lawrence. Most people are saying it's not been since Andrew Luck in 2012 that there's been this much talk about a, quote, generational prospect as there is for Trevor Lawrence right now. And barring arguably the biggest upset in draft history, it will be Trevor Lawrence who hears his name called first when the Jacksonville Jaguars kick off the festivities in Cleveland on April the 29th. But there is a growing school of thought that maybe, just maybe, BYU quarterback Zach Wilson could rival Trevor Lawrence and be even better as an NFL prospect. Wilson, of course, obviously if Wilson was facing UCF's defense as he did in the Boca Bowl, he would definitely be the number one draft pick. If he could just face UCF defenses in the NFL, he would obviously be the number one draft pick, all right? But we saw what he did in the Boca Bowl against a, depleted UCF defense. We've seen what he did throughout his career at BYU. Really, he's a junior this year, completed over 73% of his passes this past season, nearly 4,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. All right? I mean, and the guy can run. I think he ran for 10 touchdowns this year, had a passing efficiency of 196.4. He's been compared to Aaron Rodgers, who's sort of his hero. Also, Patrick Mahomes, he's been compared to. Mark Schlereth, who obviously was a longtime NFL player for the Denver Broncos. I think he does a sports radio show in Denver now. Used to be on ESPN for quite some time. I don't know why ESPN ever got rid of him. I always liked Mark Schlereth on ESPN. But he says he thinks Zach Wilson is a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence. Now, Mark Schlereth knows a lot more than I do. These NFL scouts know a lot more than I do, but there are some scouts who are saying Zach Wilson should be the number one draft pick over Trevor Lawrence. Here's my question, right? Well, first of all, we don't know who's going to be better. I've watched Trevor Lawrence in a handful of games, all right? Watch Zach Wilson not in a handful of games, so I'm not going to purport to be the draft expert here. All right, not going to purport to do that at all. Here's my question. If the Jaguars and Urban Meyer and the Jaguars scouting staff, if they were to determine that, yes, Zach Wilson is better than Trevor Lawrence, would they have the guts to draft him? Would they have the guts to go against all of this hype for Trevor Lawrence?
Stupid enough?
What do you mean? No. If they truly graded him out,
yes. If they graded him out
then
higher,
yes.
But
you think they would?
But
Yes.
here's the thing: if the reason why I say stupid enough is because if they grade him out, and every other the trick here is that every other team would have to also grade him out better than Trevor Lawrence because Zach Wilson.
But all the other teams aren't telling you what their grades are.
Right, but here's the thing. They could trade back a little bit and still get Zach Wilson. Number 2, number 3.
Well, they don't. But they don't know. They listen. When you get the number one pick, you either are trading back for a lot of picks, or you are taking the guy that you think is the best to serve your franchise. Here's why I know Urban Meyer would take the best player, regardless of what people think about it. Is because as a college football coach, he took the best players regardless of what people would think about it. Percy Harvin got kicked out of high school sports for physically putting his hands on officials. Took a lot of heat for that.
Yeah, but Urban Meyer also, he picked the best players, but those players also were at like Percy Harvin may have been a problem child in high school, but he was still rated as one of the top recruits in the country.
Yeah, no, and it's not that Zach Smith's not rated one of the top quarterbacks in the country either. I mean, this is I mean, there were people that were questioning whether or not somebody should take Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning. We know that.
Big debate.
Yeah, and we know how that would have ended up.
Okay, but that was like almost even Steven. Who's the better? This one, at least in the court of public opinion, there's no even Steven. Who's better, Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence? The
public's opinion doesn't matter.
That's what I say. All right,
Yeah.
but I wonder how much of a. We'll ask John Hammond.
Urban Meyer was going to hire this strength and conditioning.
Chris Doyle.
You think when he was going to hire Chris Doyle, regardless of what public opinion was going to be, you think this guy cares what Johnny Duvall has to say about Zach Smith? Hell no. No.
I don't know.
No, he'll hire a racist, but he won't draft a Mormon? Get out of here. Get out of here. No, that's the wrong guy. You're asking the question of the wrong guy.
It's interesting. It's interesting because, again, it's almost uniform. Oh, Trevor Lawrence has to be the number one draft pick. But again, remember when Urban Meyer first held his introductory press conference? He made a point to mention, drafting a quarterback, and he made a point. Trevor Lawrence. He mentioned him, but he also made a point to mention Zach Smith. And not many people were mentioning...
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Yeah, Zach Smith. Not Zach Smith. He didn't make a point to mention him. Zach Wilson. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because, again, there is a growing number of scouts who think Zach Wilson might be the best quarterback in this draft. All right, we have a supplemental poll up about this. You can go vote on it. Straight ahead, I'm not so sure that a wide receiver for the Baltimore Colts is making the right decision by not giving up his number to Carson Wentz. I'll explain next on Open Mic.
This is Markel Fultz.
Okay, I've got to get my mind right. I teased this last segment, by calling them the Baltimore Colts. All right. I referred to Zach Wilson as Zach Smith during the last segment.
And
although that's an understandable mistake. I mean, it is Urban Meyer we're talking about. So Zach Smith, Zach Wilson, sort of an understandable mistake. But Baltimore Colts, I do that all the time.
Don't forget, Mike, yesterday you did UK TV shows that you were intrigued by.
That's why I remember yesterday I was asking, like, I don't know anything about these other shows. Yeah. What are they, Mike? Yeah. You're like, I don't know either. Just said it in the TV guide.
The TV guide, but the TV listings I were looking at were the UK TV listings.
Which would make sense why the 3 p.m. English Premier League game over here looked like it was in prime time to you yesterday.
Yeah, well, it said prime time on that in UK. It was like 8 o'clock or something.
People were excited for that.
Mike, I sat around my TV all night at 8 p.m. I went through every channel. Looking for some more Premier League soccer last night.
So Austin, I did it again this morning. I was going to do the TV poll because, it's sort of a slow sports time. And, hey, it's an easy poll. What do you want to watch on TV tonight? So, again, I had some British TV listings, and Austin called me this morning. You do know these are the British TV listings, right?
There were so many flags that were British.
Yeah. Like the first show was had Britain in it, didn't it?
Yeah, and then also it's like, this is on BBC One. This is going to be on BBC Two. The website itself was .co.uk.
For a guy whose industry has moved to the internet, Mike, you may want to brush up on said internet.
All right, so evidently no amount of money will get quarterback Carson Wentz his number 11 jersey with his new team, the Indianapolis, formerly known as the Baltimore Colts, all right? Colts second-year receiver Michael Pittman Jr. Is that the former Buccaneers running back Michael Pittman's son, right?
Yeah.
So, second-year running receiver Michael Pittman Jr. currently wears number 11. It says he has talked to Wentz about the number, and the answer is no on a possible switch. Quote, I am number 11, Pittman told TMZ Sports. Quote, I don't think there's any deal that is going to be done. Now, obviously, it's not uncommon for players on new teams to try to buy their preferred jersey number for, a certain amount of money from one of their teammates. But evidently, that's not going to be the case. Another quote from Pittman. I spoke to Carson, and he was just seeing how locked in I was on number 11. I told him I was locked in, and he was like, that's cool, bro, because I'm probably going to switch anyway. Now, Pittman wore number 6 in college at USC. Then he started his Colts career with number 86, and then he switched to and settled on number 11. Carson Wentz wore number 11 while he was at North Dakota State and during his first 5 years with the Eagles, but now it appears he's going to have to switch. I don't know if this is a smart business decision on Michael Pittman Jr.'s part. Now, Michael Pittman Jr., where was he drafted? I think he was a second rounder, maybe.
Yeah, sounds about right.
He was drafted in the second round. Had an okay year last year. I think he caught 500 yards in receptions last year. So had an okay year for the Eagles. If I'm a receiver that's whether you're a number 2 or number 3 receiver, I'm going to do everything I can to get my quarterback to like me. So I might switch up, especially since I've only had the number for, 1 year. I might switch up and give Carson Wentz that number. Now, I would ask him for a little cash for it, but it doesn't sound like Michael Pittman Jr. is really tied to number 11. It hasn't been his number except for 1 year. It wasn't his number in college. It wasn't even his first number with the Colts. So, anyway, but that's that. But that's the genesis, though, of our spontaneous text question.
Spontaneous text question of the day.
Okay, if you were a professional athlete, what number would you wear and why? What number would you wear and why? Easy for me. I mean, I grew up as a kid. It's always been my favorite number. I still play it on the lottery, the lotto. Every time I do a lotto, number 22. Because Mercury Morris, the old Miami Dolphins running back, was my favorite player as a kid, and I loved the number 22. And somebody else had it in high school, so I couldn't wear it. Caesar Wright wore number 22. So I had to go to number 32 in high school, but 22 would be my number. What about you guys?
My soccer career, I started with 16, so I always kept that. But then I became a Deion Sanders fan, so I wanted to switch everything to 21 when I was younger.
That makes sense. I was number 72 when I played football. And then number 13 when I played
Dave Remington, the old Nebraska.
the greatest center to ever play this sport that we call football.
I don't even know if he was 72. But.
I don't know what number he was. No, I was just a random number 72. I just happened to like the number. But if I could have any pick of any number, I love the 00. I know Aaron Gordon doesn't give it the best reputation in the entire world, being like, he's a superstar.
He's no Robert Parrish, that's for sure.
That's correct. But listen, I love
Jim
00.
He said that's for sure. Do you know who Robert Parrish is, or did you just?
Yes, I know who Robert Parrish is.
I guarantee you don't know who Big Jim Otto is.
Jim Otto? Let me tell you who Jim Otto is after I Google him quickly.
Yeah, Jim Otto was 00 for the old Oakland Raiders back in the day when they were in fourth. Was he a center? Was he a center?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Big Jim Otto was a center?
I think so.
Yeah, I knew he was an offensive lineman of some sort.
00, man.
Did Jim Otto go to the University of Miami?
I think he might have been in Miami. Ted Hendricks, the great Raider, was a Miami Hurricane. Yeah, the Mad Stewart.
University of Miami. Yep. Wasu East High School to the University of Miami. That's a road less traveled.
Right? Who's that? Big Jim Otto?
Yeah.
Wow. Big Jim Otto in today's world would be small Jim Otto. He probably weighed about 220 pounds back in the day.
He was 6'2", though, so, not as short as...
You'd be a small point guard.
Yeah.
If you were Michael Pittman Jr., real quick, would you give your number to Carson Wentz?
For lunch every day.
No. I mean, so here's another sort of variable to this story. This guy grew up in an NFL household, so it's not like he needs the money. He's like a money. If I were a guy that was like a 5th round draft pick, and I came from no money, no means, then probably yes.
Hey, just because your athlete father may have had money at one time doesn't mean he still does. All right, we've seen many athletes who had a bunch of money and now they don't anymore. So anyway,
true story.
All right. Text those in. Spontaneous text question. The number you would wear if you were a professional athlete and why. 50857. Straight ahead, our thought-provoking daily poll question. I think it's great that UCF fans are now ultra excited about Gus Malzahn, but why does that mean they have to denigrate former coach Josh Heupel? That's next on Open Mic.
Open Mic. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
I'm sorry. Extremely sorry.
We've got your shot at 1,000.
Isn't it amazing what a difference a week can make? A week ago when UCF they hadn't officially announced Gus Malzahn as the coach, but it was being reported that Gus Malzahn had been made the offer and was going to be the next head coach at UCF. There were many UCF fans, the UCF Twitter mafia. Oh, they were up in arms. How can you hire this old man, Gus Malzahn, who's ancient at age 55? How can you hire this retread who was just fired at Auburn instead of the great Jeff Lebby, the Ole Miss quarterbacks coach, who's an up-and-comer, who's going to be the next Scott Frost at UCF or the next Josh Heupel at UCF? How can you hire Gus Malzahn? Now here we are a week later, and UCF fans just go on social media. Oh, Gus Malzahn the best. We love Gus. Hop on the Gus bus. It's unbelievable how UCF fans have changed. I don't know if it was the press conference that Gus Malzahn won, or now they're raving about Gus Malzahn's staff that he's hiring. And here's the part that gets me, all right? So I was on Kravitz's show yesterday on In the Zone. Let me see if I can find this on the 96.9 The Game Twitter feed, all right? So on the 96.9 The Game Twitter feed from Kravitz's show yesterday, In the Zone, Kravitz was raving about Gus Malzahn's staff. And let me see if I can find it. And it says, here it is. Gus Malzahn is doing better than Heupel already. Gus Malzahn is doing better than Heupel already. This is from In the Zone. Let me see what it says on this blog entry by Stefan, who's the co-host of In the Zone. Gus Malzahn is making UCF the place to be with the culture he's putting in place and the people he's hiring. He's already doing better than Josh Heupel did. And blah, 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 blah. Really? Why is he doing better than Josh Heupel did? That's my question. And again, I put my stamp of approval on Gus Malzahn from the beginning. I love the hire. And it looks like he's hiring some good assistant coaches. But I'm reading Stefan's blog here. Gus Malzahn making, and then in all caps, great assistant coaches hires. Assistant coaching hires. Great in all caps. Really? Well, again, these assistant coaches seem fine to me, all right? And they seem, some of them have NFL experience. A lot of them have college experience. Some of them even have high school experience. So Gus Malzahn seems to be hiring a good staff. But is this staff, why is this staff so much better than Josh Heupel's? Anybody got an answer to that? Because I'm guessing that Stefan and me and you, we don't. Are we in the hopper here when it comes to assistant coaching knowledge? Because
well, I think there's a couple of names that he hired, or at least one in particular that I recognize, but I don't know if it's an upgrade over what they already had here at UCF.
Right.
And that's
what I'm saying.
The one that's gotten the attention, at least from us here inside the state, would be Tim Ice Harris, who's now the co-offensive coordinator, which basically is a title. But he's a guy with ties to the South Florida area for recruiting. He was the former head coach at Booker T. Washington during one of their great runs down there, and he has a lot of connections to the coaches down there. But is that any better than having Randy Shannon on your staff, who has the same sort of connection? I don't know if it's greater than, less than, or equal to at this moment. But at the end of the day, Gus Malzahn's still 0-0 right now. He's a 500 coach right now.
Yeah, and again, that's all that's going to matter. Are these assistant coaches going to be able to coach and make UCF exciting and have a great offense and all of that? So I just find it funny how UCF, sort of the fans, have switched over the last week, and now Gus Malzahn can do no wrong, when originally there was at least many on social media, and I know social media is not the ultimate gauge of everything, but now it's like, hey, Josh Heupel's staff stunk, whereas Gus Malzahn has this great staff, and Gus Malzahn, again, seems to be hiring some good, Travis Williams seems to be a up-and-comer as the defensive coordinator. Here's the other thing. Why do you have to have, and I realize it's politics and, I don't know if it's pay grade or whatever. Why do you have to have co-this and co-that? Why do you have to have the co-defensive coordinators, the co-offensive coordinators?
Because that's a promotion. At that point, it becomes, now Tim Ice Harris's next stop, should they be successful here, would be to be an offensive coordinator. So it's sort of a rung in the ladder, if you will. If you brought Ice Harris here to be just the running backs coach or some other position coach, then maybe he's a step away from further advancement. And that's what all these guys want. Tim Harris was a former head coach at the high school level. So I think that's what it is. That, and then you justify the bump in pay as well.
Okay, so I'm reading on UCF's website here, and when Travis Williams, I believe, was the first coach that was hired, the defensive coordinator. The headline, Travis Williams is new UCF defensive coordinator. That's on the UCF website. All right. Then a couple days later, David Gibbs named co-defensive coordinator and secondary coach at UCF. So why wasn't Travis Williams headline co-defensive coordinator? Because, right, if you're co, doesn't that mean there's another one?
It's a good call.
Right? It doesn't say Travis Williams is new co-UCF defensive coordinator. It just says Travis Williams is new UCF defensive coordinator. So I'm assuming that Travis Williams is the defensive coordinator and David Gibbs is he just got the title co-defensive coordinator because, as you said, that's what they want. They want a title, right? You can't just be the secondary coach. You have to be the co-defensive coordinator as well. All right, our thought-provoking daily poll question, let me see if I can bring that up real quick, is this. Is the staff being put together by new UCF coach Gus Malzahn better or worse than the staff of former coach Josh Heupel? The options are, what are the options? Austin, do you have this?
Better or worse?
Better or worse? Go vote at 96.9.
Hey, let me clear something up real fast before Twitter crushes me. I keep saying Tim Ice Harris. It's his son, Tim Jr. that was hired here.
Okay. Yeah. If I had to vote better or worse, I would vote IDK. I don't know.
It's not an option, Mike.
We will see. How about we will see? So, anyway, go vote at 96.9 The Game on Twitter on that thought-provoking daily poll. All right, straight ahead, the golf world is coming to the defense of an LPGA golfer based on some creepy comments made by a politician. That's next on Open Mic.
96.9 The Game, FM, HD. Online at 969thegame.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app. And on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio
Our spontaneous text question of the day is this. In relation to Michael Pittman Jr., the Indianapolis Colts wide receiver, saying, I'm not going to give up the number 11 for our new quarterback, Carson Wentz, who's been wearing number 11 since college at North Dakota State. What number would you wear if you were a professional athlete? I said I would wear number 22. Austin said, for some reason, 72?
72 was my number in high school. 00 is the one I would do.
Oh, yeah, 00.
Yeah.
00.
Do offensive linemen have like an affinity for a number? Like, I would always think it was more the prima donna skills position guys.
There were definitely guys in my high school that were like, I want this number, and they're like,
I'm number 77.
That was the number I was gonna say.
77?
I'm number 77. I'm number 68.
My hero, Lyle Alzado, was 77.
Adam Reardon said 21 in honor of primetime Deion Sanders. I said 22 in honor of Mercury Morris. And Austin said 00 in honor of Aaron Gordon.
No, in honor of my damn self.
In honor of Big Jim Otto. That's who it
The
is.
Chief, Robert Parrish.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, from our text line, I played football a long time, always wanted to be 33 like Tony Dorsett, but always seemed to be a 20 or a 21. Somebody else texts in 69 for obvious reasons. All right, that's enough of that. Always wore number 14 because my dad wore number 14 throughout his baseball career, except for 1 year I wore 23 for Michael Jordan. Keep those coming in. 50857. Somebody else texted in. Michael Pittman Jr. realizes that he isn't going to get many targets this season, right?
I mean, he's got Carson Wentz as his quarterback. He wasn't necessarily getting a ton anyway.
Yeah. That's why I would have given Carson Wentz the jersey number. Just throw me the ball a lot, okay? Hey, real quick. When I say a number, I want you guys to blurt out. The first athlete that comes to mind. All right?
Okay.
Number 1.
Oh, God. I'm ashamed to say this, but I don't know why Otis Nixon popped into my head.
See, I think of Percy Harvin when I think of number 1. Number 2.
Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3.
I got stuck on the Braves, so Dale Murphy was in my head.
I think of Darryl LaMonica, the old Raiders quarterback. Number 4.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
That's
Number
cool.
5.
Carlos Puyol.
I think of Donovan McNabb when I think of number 5.
Yeah.
Number 6.
Listen, if you don't say Bubby Brister here, then we aren't friends.
I have not. I don't even know a number 6 I could think of.
Judd Davis.
I can't think.
Judd Davis.
Number 7.
No, John Elway.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Number 8.
Kobe. At one point.
I think it's Steve Young.
Yeah.
That wasn't his. That
Kobe's
wasn't.
going to hoard 2 numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 9.
I don't know.
Rajon Rondo.
I think of Drew Brees, number 9.
Yeah.
And number 10.
Oh, like Lionel Messi.
Nice.
It was either Messi, Maradona, Pele. A great soccer player.
Yeah.
Fran Tarkington is the ultimate number 10.
Just the jersey number 10 means your best soccer player. Where's 10? Whoever that is. The number 10 jersey.
See, a lot of Dolphins fans, when you mention number 13, would say Dan Marino. I think of the original number 13, Jake Scott.
I really thought you were going to say, I was thinking of the future number 13, Tua Tagovailoa.
Let that guy wear that jersey.
All right, so the golf world is rallying around Michelle Wie West, who used to be Michelle Wie, obviously, and then she got married to, Johnny West, the Golden State Warriors director of basketball operations, but now she's Michelle Wie West. Well, Rudy Giuliani, this story's a few days old now. He appeared last week on the War Room podcast hosted by ex-Donald Trump advisor Steve Bannon and was remembering a round of golf. Obviously, the name of Rush Limbaugh came up. Rush Limbaugh, famous conservative radio host, passed away several days ago. Well, they were talking about Rush Limbaugh and telling Rush Limbaugh stories on this podcast. And Rudy Giuliani was talking about the day that they were playing a round of golf, and Michelle Wie at the time was in their foursome, I guess, and as he recalled it, Giuliani, Limbaugh was complaining about all the paparazzi and blamed Giuliani for having all of these paparazzi there. Well, just play the clip. Play the clip.
One day we're driving, and these paparazzi are driving us crazy. They're taking pictures, they're taking pictures, they're taking pictures. And he said, Giuliani, what did you do now? They're all following you around. You know how I hate pictures taken? I know you're famous, but damn, can't you tell them to stay away? And he's like growling. And I say, you just come up to the green with me. Come on, come on. So on the green is Michelle Wie, and she's getting ready to putt. Now, Michelle Wie is gorgeous. She's 6 feet, and she has a strange putting stance. She bends all the way over, and her panties show. And the press was going crazy. They were following her all around because they were trying to take pictures of her panties. I said, Roger, it's not me, it's not you, it's her panties. Right? Is that okay to tell that joke? I'm not sure.
We already told it, so I don't know.
Yeah, the uncomfortable. We already told it. Yeah. So, all right. So Michelle Wie West, obviously not pleased with Rudy Giuliani. Her quote was, "What this person should have remembered from that day was the fact that I shot a 64 and beat every male golfer in the field, leading our team to victory. I shudder thinking that he was smiling to my face and complimenting me in my game while objectifying me and referencing my panties behind my back all day. What should also be discussed is the elite skill level that women play at now, not what we wear or look like. My putting stance 6 years ago was designed to improve my putting stats. I ended up winning the U.S. Open that year, in parentheses, not as an invitation to look up my skirt." That was what Michelle Wie said, and obviously Rudy Giuliani. I mean, good Lord, why would you publicize your creepiness?
Mike, the guy is a pervert. Have you seen the new Borat?
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Borat?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Where he goes into the hotel room and he's like laying on the bed and starts to undo his pants for what is appears to be a very, very young woman. And then
a female reporter, right?
Well, yeah, she was posing as a female reporter. To say they set him up is probably true, but to say that he was going to be a willing participant with a very young girl in a hotel room is also very true. It's sort of like those Dateline NBCs where they invite you over to the house and you show up with the Bartles and James and in a backpack, and
Bartles and James.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen like those To Catch the Predators. But the guy's a weirdo. The guy's a pervert. I mean, he's just a perv, and like so none of those comments shocked me because I heard those after I actually watched the Borat thing where he was laying on the bed, unzipping his pants, getting ready to.
Okay, but again. Yes, I understand that, but that was him not knowing that he was on camera. So, but this
or
is
not
him
caring.
So hold on, is your problem that he announced how creepy he was, not that he was being creepy?
No,
it's both.
Okay. It's both. But if I were creepy like that, I certainly wouldn't announce it to the world.
No, I think he got too comfortable. I think that people his age don't really understand, or maybe in moments sort of forget how far-reaching things that you say today can get. he was amongst friends. He was in the war room with all the guys. They were swapping war stories.
But still, it's like people who tweet out stupid stuff thinking, oh, only my friends are going to say. Well, come on, Rudy Giuliani's been in politics for decades. He knows.
Was this a live podcast? Because here's something that Austin actually coached me up on. There's a lot of people that podcast that go in there and cut stuff out, that edit stuff. If you're Rudy Giuliani, and they're recording this podcast, and I'm assuming it's a pretty decent podcast, as far as production value is concerned. Was there nobody there that says, "Hey, listen, we'll talk about the time you were playing golf and all that stuff, but we're going to clip the part out where you start talking about Michelle Wee's panties. We're going to do you that solid, seeing how you're here amongst friends."
So I saw the clip itself, the video, and it appears that it's similar to how our show is. It's a live stream, and then he podcasts the live stream.
So it's the live stream that got him in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
the guy got too comfortable. Was around friends, forgets about the camera, and then boom, tell a story, and that's it. Well, I would say that's your career, but
hold on, Rudy Giuliani. A part that I cut out of this because I didn't know that it was going to be relevant was he says, "Hey, do you have time for a funny Rush Limbaugh story before we go?"
Oh, so he just
brought it up himself.
He volunteered it.
He volunteered
he really
this story.
He thought he was amongst friends, and he got lost in the sauce. But I will say this, that it will have zero effect on the people that liked him 2 days ago. We know that. So I mean, it's just people that.
Well, again, though, golf is and there are a lot of golf organizations coming to Michelle Wee's defense here, and golf is a very, very it's a very conservative sport. I mean, most professional golfers, at least on the men's side, are Republicans. I think at one time there was one Democrat on the PGA Golf Tour, and this was years ago, and it was David Duval. So anyway, golf is
you guys gonna legalize this stuff for what? I'm out here fighting on my own,
right? Anyway, to me, again, it just shows, and it's not just female athletes. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in female reporters. We've seen the Mets executive who was fired for sexually harassing a female reporter, if not multiple female reporters. So again, it just shows how much sexism, female athletes, female reporters, female employees, whatever a company is involved, how much sexism they still have to deal with. Because I mean, Rudy Giuliani, all he could talk about with Michelle Wee was her panties. Really? I mean, Michelle Wee's not one of the great LPGA golfers of all time, but she's one of the most well-known LPGA golfers in recent memory, is she not?
Absolutely. I mean, she was one of these young phenoms that was coming along. She had a lot of attention. Nike, I think, signed her at like 15 years old. Yep. So the attention and the name, the cachet that her name carries in the world of women's golf. I mean, to be honest, you couldn't name 5 LPGA players today without naming her name.
Yeah, probably. All right, in the wake of the comments made by Rudy Giuliani about looking at the panties of professional golfer Michelle Wee West, how much sexism do female athletes still have to endure? You can go vote on that poll at 96.9 The Game on Twitter. Let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
What you reading there, honey?
It's very exciting stuff, you see. It's the front page of the internet.
Here we go with the front page of the internet today. We start off on YouTube's trending page where the top 2 videos are, one is sad for many and the other is very exciting for just about everybody. The number 2 video on YouTube is the Perseverance rover that touched down on Mars. The official NASA video has been released. Shows Perseverance's descent and touchdown on Mars, and includes for the first time what Mars sounds like. And for the first time ever, we have video and audio of Mars, and here, I'll play it for you. It's just wind. It's just wind.
It's what this earth would sound like if there were no people, no buildings, no
trees,
cars, no nothing.
Nothing.
Not even any crickets to chirp.
Nope.
Honestly, when I saw the link to it, I was thinking I was going to click it and it's going to like, you know, I'm like, okay, I don't want it. I have bad dreams. I have bad dreams.
And then the number one, that has 5.4 million views. The number one video on YouTube is from Daft Punk, and it is titled Epilogue. Daft Punk.
They're retiring.
They are retiring. They are finished up. Mike, can you name your favorite Daft Punk song?
I love the early Daft Punk before he went commercial. Yeah. Again, I just knew him when he was, you know, a damn punk.
Close enough. Daft Punk, 12 million views. A lot of people not broken up, but like, you know, remembering the duo that was Daft Punk and the techno that they played, all that sort of stuff. So I can't say that I was a huge fan.
I always felt like Punk was carrying Daft in that group. Mm-hmm. It was sort of like George Michael's and that other dude from Wham.
Yeah.
Happy birthday today to actor Josh Gad, who played LeFou in Beauty and the Beast and is best known for Olaf from Frozen. How old is Josh Gad?
Frozen, I'm going to go 32.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to go 43.
He's 40 years old today.
Light day on the birthdays, huh?
Not a lot of great ones out there, gonna be honest. We move on to Reddit, where on the movies subreddit is a conversation that was brought up by the New York Times. Who is still buying VHS tapes? Despite the rise of streaming, there is still a vast library of moving images that are categorically unavailable anywhere else. Also, there's a big nostalgia factor. My question to you guys is, do you still have any VHSs that you've kept around? You know, that oh gosh, are you kidding me? All right, Rudy. Gotcha.
Rudy.
Gross, Mike.
Don't call me Rudy.
Okay, all right.
I just meant it that you put in all the extra effort and you work real hard.
Yeah, that's it.
That Rudy.
Yeah.
I actually have a VHS of when I got my, I had blew out my knee when I was in my 20s, and Dr. Pete Indelicato, who was then the team surgeon for the Florida Gators, he also had a practice as an orthopedic surgeon. He replaced my ACL with a cadaver's ACL, and I have a video of him performing that surgery.
That's pretty cool.
Weird.
There's one VHS cassette I want to get my hands on. Oh God, when I was probably like 17 years old, we went to Daytona Beach and they had a karaoke bar, me and a bunch of friends, and we performed Belle Biv DeVoe's oh God, I forget the name of the song, but I really want to get my hands on that. A friend's ex-wife has it, so we're in.
So you guys are like memory lane kind of thing.
Yeah,
there isn't like a movie that you guys.
You think I want to watch? You know, some movie. Who even has a VHS like a VCR? Yeah,
I do not have a VCR. I'm not.
If you go into a house and you see a VCR on somebody's like right underneath their television, get out of there. That's a serial killer. You got to go.
It's funny you bring up serial killers, because on the subreddit conversation, a lot of people are saying that most of their VHS tapes that they still watch are all these old 80s horror movies that nobody has picked up for a streaming service. And so that's what
their victims actually being tortured in their basement. That's really it. Get out of there, quick.
Oh, that's the front page of the internet today.
That is the front page of the internet. I don't know if you guys have seen this video of this high school football player just taunting Cam Newton, trash-talking Cam Newton. I mean, it's unbelievable how disrespectful. Talking about how Cam Newton is going to be poor because he's a free agent now, and Cam Newton just keeps saying, I'm not going to be poor, I'm rich, okay? I'm rich. And then Cam Newton, I mean, this guy's just
It's not
rude.
a guy, it's a kid. It's a kid.
It's a kid, yes. It's a kid. It's like a teenager. It's this 7-on-7 tournament. Cam Newton funds and coaches this 7-on-7 football team, and it's a kid from another team up in Pennsylvania, and he's just trash-talking Cam Newton, and Cam Newton is trying to keep his cool, and he does keep his cool, but Cam Newton's giving it back to him, and finally Cam Newton just essentially says, "Where's your father? Where's your father?" Because, he didn't say this, but he says, "You're being rude, dude."
Yeah.
And again, it's so disrespectful. Do we have the clip of, who's the former player? Bart Scott. Do we have the clip of Bart Scott talking
I've got
about
Mike Golick talking about how the kid shouldn't have trash talked Cam.
Okay.
Maybe it was blown out of proportion a bit once you got the camera pointed at the kid and he knew he was on camera with that. But in the context of this situation, you have got someone coming to give their time to you who's an adult in the situation that there's not going to be any recourse here. Cam's not going to do anything crazy in that spot because he's smart and he wants to keep his money and he's a grown adult. And that kid's not going to do anything because he knows the same goes the other way. And so we don't get a situation that's got any equity in the way that actually makes smack talk fun.
Okay. So, but again, why is a kid, I don't know, he's probably 15 years old or 16 years old. Why is a kid taunting Cam Newton?
Because he's around his friends, he's trying to make his friends laugh. If somebody's and the minute he turns around and peeks and somebody's got their cell phone camera out, he knows it's going to go viral. It's going to, he's going to get some clicks. He's going to get some likes. But what happened to that young man actually was the athletic community came out and just crushed him. Talked about how disrespectful he was, how this is a guy who's putting his time and effort in to help these young people get to where they want to be, and you disrespected that. And the young man actually posted an apology online yesterday, which as I read about 3 or 4 different times and tried to make it feel more sincere and more, not sorry I did it, sorry that.
Sorry that everybody's ripping me.
Yeah. I'm still going to keep, working. I'm sorry, people, it's a miscommunication. It's not a miscommunication. Like when people apologize and say, "I'm sorry that you took it this way," is not a real apology. We talked about Dan Mullen sometimes does these apologies where he says, "I'm sorry if this was misconstrued," I'm at fault for misconstruing it. No, young man, there was no miscommunication here. You were being disrespectful to a guy that was a highly recruited high school guy who stumbled at Florida, found his way back, persevered, got back to Auburn, won a Heisman Trophy, won a national championship, became the number 1 overall draft pick, became the NFL's MVP, led his team to a Super Bowl. I mean, this guy has done everything that you would even dream of doing a tenth of in your lifetime in this sport, and you wanted to clown him. As opposed to learn from him, and I hope those clicks mean something to you, because you're going to, until you do something great on a football field at a much higher level than the 7v7 camp. This is what you're going to be known for, and frankly, it's embarrassing to you, your teammates, your coach. Where's your coach? Speaking of parents, sometimes parents can't be at all these games. You got to rely on the adults who say, "I'm in charge," to get this kid to shut his mouth.
I love the fact that Cam Newton said, "Where's your father? Where's your father?"
He wanted to talk to an adult and say, "Hey, listen."
He wanted to say, "Listen, you need to teach your kid some manners here." I mean, again, I hate to say it. Austin, go ahead and get it ready. Once again, as Adam Reardon just said, in fact, you have to include Adam Reardon when you play the boomer clip, all right? This is about getting clicks on social media. This guy saw the video cameras out and said, "I'm going to get me some clicks right now."
What is okay, boomer?
That's exactly what this was about. The evils of social media.
Yeah, but I'll say this. Though, but give credit to social media. Who, yes, I mean, his thing went viral, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
This young man got crushed by people on social media. This had the exact opposite. You know what this social media did to him? Probably have, I don't know how good a player this kid is. I really don't know. But it would have a college coach say, "I'm Boston College," and I was looking at this kid. and I look at the way he speaks to Cam Newton.
Not anymore.
Dude, do I want to coach this guy? Do I want this guy? Do I want... Look, if this guy has no respect for what Cam Newton's done in this game, my name is, Arthur Jarelsnick. How's he going to respect me here at Boston College? Maybe this has an just initially, it blew up in the kid's face, and then maybe long-term, it has even larger ramifications for him.
Believe me, if he's good enough, he'll get a college scholarship.
Yeah,
right around the corner, it's Sound Off, where we will hear the notable notes and quotable quotes from all the newsmakers throughout sports. That's next, but first we have your chance at $1,000.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide key
That is the sound off, which means the Sultan of Sound has compiled the very best audio for your listening enjoyment. Let's have it, Austin Pistolka.
Sound off.
You see Trevor, you see Justin, you see Zach. As Shad said, this is a monumental moment for this franchise. And we've seen some franchises explode and we've seen others fail. So whoever takes that snap, we have got to be right on. That's going to be one of the most important decisions I've made in my lifetime. I see some elite quarterbacks out there right now.
I wanted to bring this clip back from Urban Meyer from one of his opening press conferences where he talked about, the quarterback choice is the most important choice of my lifetime. And we talked about it to kick off the show, the idea that Zach Wilson of BYU might be the guy over Trevor Lawrence. What are your thoughts on this, Mike?
Well, there are at least some scouts who think Zach Wilson is the better prospect. The question is, what do the Jaguars scouting staff and evaluation staff, what do they think? And I do think it's pretty interesting because, again, Trevor Lawrence is considered the quote-unquote generational prospect. He's considered the Andrew Luck of this draft, the can't miss, the clear number one. Well, guess what? Some scouts don't think he is the clear number one. The question is, what do the Jaguar scouts think? And if they think that Zach Wilson is the best quarterback out there, would they have the what's the word I'm looking for? Would they have the guts?
The audacity.
The guts to pass on Trevor Lawrence and take Zach Wilson knowing that the vast majority of the talking heads and the Mel Kiper Juniors and all of these guys are going to rip them if they pass on Trevor Lawrence? Do they have the audacity to do that? I'm not so sure that Urban Meyer, being the NFL rookie that he is as a head coach, I don't know if he has the stones, as you like to say.
Sound off.
Odell Beckham makes the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense much better, and here's why. During trade negotiations, you ask for permission to speak to Odell and his agent, and you say, hey, look, come down here, help us repeat as Super Bowl champs. We need you to take less money because we're trying to keep the group together. But if you win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, imagine that puts you back on the national conversation. You let Chris Godwin graduate, you take that savings, and now you keep Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Ndamukong Suh. So Beckham's a better player than Godwin, and if you recruit him the right way, you could probably get him for less money. So I think Beckham actually could help the other side of the ball and still keep you explosive on offense.
Mike Tannenbaum with what starts off as a crazy conspiracy theory that then he backs up with some interesting points about getting OBJ means the Bucs defense gets better. Adam Reardon, do you buy what he's selling?
It took us a long way around. I was like, well, this will be interesting. How's Odell Beckham helping the defense? I got no idea. But, he set the first domino off, which is, hey, listen, got to convince him to come for real cheap, okay? And then you can let Chris Godwin go, who's a free agent. Save that money and spend that money on these defensive players that you don't want to let go, that you don't really have the next man up, or guys that could sort of fill that role equally as well as maybe Odell Beckham Jr. could, and maybe even surpass Chris Godwin. You also have Antonio Brown still there that you could re-sign. Imagine a team with Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. being quarterbacked by Tom Brady. That is the NFL equivalent of what was going on in Gainesville when Tim Tebow was there and he was throwing to Percy Harvin and Aaron Hernandez.
I wonder, though, again, people are just assuming that Odell Beckham Jr.
That's the first domino. There's no way.
Yeah, but here's my point. Odell Beckham Jr., yeah, he has the name Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ. He played in New York, all of that. Is he really better than Chris Godwin right now? I don't know that he is. People just assume that because of his name. Like Antonio Brown he's better. Is Antonio Brown better than Chris Godwin right now? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, you look at his numbers, and if you extrapolate his numbers over 16 games, like Chris Godwin, or over the same amount of time that Chris Godwin his numbers are better.
Yeah, again, Chris Godwin was one of the top receivers in the league.
He's good. Yeah, no question about it. But if you can get somebody equally as good, but then save the money to keep the Shaq Barretts and Levante Davids on your defense, that's a much better move. He sold me. Honestly, he sold me on that deal.
Sound off. 1 week ago today, we flew in here at 5:30 a.m. or whatever it was, 5 a.m. after a 1-3 road trip, which I actually felt good about. Okay, and 7 days later, we feel a lot better about ourselves. Now we've had the right approach, we've hung in there, and we fought. But the reality is, it can go sideways quick too.
Magic coach Steve Clifford saying, "Hey, it was a week ago where we started to feel pretty good, and this week we feel even better, but it can go sideways at any moment." Mike, do you feel like the Magic success is going to go sideways soon?
Well, their schedule's going to get a lot tougher here pretty quickly, all right? So, yeah, they play the Pistons tonight, but then after that, if you look at their schedule, they have a slew of tough games. So, yeah, when you're a team that doesn't have, a bunch of your star players still missing. I mean, Aaron Gordon's still gone. We've talked about the injury situation ad nauseum with Isaac and Fultz being out for the season. So, yeah, it could go sideways for the Magic. But right now, the way they're playing, and they are getting healthier. Let's face it. I'm looking at their schedule right now. So, where are we at? So they have the Pistons tonight. Then they have the Nets. Then they have the Utah Jazz. Then they have the Memphis Grizzlies. All right, and then they have the Atlanta Hawks. So yeah, they have a couple of tough games in there. So yeah, it could go sideways. But again, I think this Magic team, for what they are right now and for how hard they're playing, I think they should be commended for where they're at.
Sound off. That's the sound off for today.
All right, straight ahead, we'll get into more of the Zach Wilson versus Trevor Lawrence talk. Also, another NFL topic I want to get to. That's next on Open Mic.
Open Mic, the
something intriguing. Adam Burton, I think you are a victim of the hype of Odell Beckham Jr. And I realize Odell Beckham Jr., a few years ago was considered one of the top receivers in the league, and now you're saying, oh, he's better than Chris Godwin.
I said Antonio Brown was better than Chris Godwin.
Okay. Again, I don't even think that's true, but I want this fascination with Odell Beckham Jr. Right? Odell Beckham Jr. Obviously he was hurt for much of this past season, so he didn't do much. Right? But if Odell Beckham Jr. was so great or is so great, why did the Giants just unload him after they signed him to a big contract? I think the Giants knew something. I think the Giants knew, hey, this guy still has a big name. He's not what he used to be. Let's unload him while we can. So again,
did he get hurt in New York too?
He's had some injury issues.
Yeah.
But I mean, this past year he missed almost more than half the season.
Yeah, no, he missed a lot of time this year.
I just think Odell Beckham Jr. is one of those hyped up names that was hyped up because he played in New York. Now he did have some monster seasons early in his career. I don't have his stats in front of me, but for a couple of years there, he was catching like 1,400 yards in passes every year. But he hasn't done that in a while.
But if Mike
Baker
Evans,
Mayfield as a quarterback.
Yeah, but if Mike Evans is your number one wide receiver, and nobody's arguing that, and he said he's willing to take a pay cut to keep people on board. So you have Mike Evans as your number one. If Antonio Brown is your two, and Odell Beckham Jr. is your number three, if Odell Beckham Jr. on this team doesn't have to be the guy, the man. He's just got to be the third best. He's got to be what Antonio Brown was this season.
But I don't think you're again Odell Beckham Jr. and Antonio Brown even. Those guys aren't considered your go over the middle guys and make tough catches. That's what Chris Godwin is, and that's what Tom Brady likes. Tom Brady likes the guy, the slot receiver that can go over the middle, the Julian Edelman, the Wes Welker, the Chris Godwins who can go over the middle. Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. aren't that guy. Mike Evans is your deep guy. So again, I don't even know that those guys fit for the type of, and I'm not saying they wouldn't fit. I'm just saying that Chris Godwin is better at the type of receiver that the Buccaneers need than Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. is. And Odell Beckham Jr., he's not like, yes, he makes some great catches, but, everybody talks about the one, but he also drops a lot of passes. He's not like the sure-handed guy that you want going over the middle, is he?
No, no, he's not that. He's not that kind of receiver. Your point on Chris Godwin going over the middle is a good one. A guy that can, kind of sit in there and can take. But he was banged up this year. He got hurt this year. So I mean,
got hurt a couple times. Yeah.
I just think that for and again, the first domino that falls here, and why this is even a discussion, and what he mentioned is you got to convince Odell Beckham Jr. to play on the cheap. Like Antonio Brown did. So if you've got Antonio Brown cheap, and you've got Odell Beckham cheap, and you've got a Mike Evans who's willing to give back money, then that helps you keep Shaq Barrett. That helps you keep Levante David. And that's his whole argument is you get these guys, and what you're getting in return is this cap space, or excuse me, this money that allows you to keep your defense together, which if we're being honest, I believe is the reason why they won the Super Bowl in the first place. But you could still have quality receivers, but then keep your defense together. You may not be able to do that if you've got to sign Godwin for what he feels like he's worth.
That part I agree with. Odell Beckham Jr., he's already had his monster he signed that monster contract with the Giants, and the Browns inherited it. Chris Godwin hasn't had a monster deal yet, I don't think. All right? I don't think Chris Godwin, so he's going to want to get paid. Maybe Odell Beckham Jr. to sort of, like Antonio Brown, to sort of mend his reputation a little bit. Maybe he goes to Tampa to mend his reputation, he's willing to take less because, again, he's already loaded. He's already signed major deals, whereas Chris Godwin has not. All right. This story bothers me a little bit. This other story I was reading this morning. All right. Everybody knows the Minnesota Timberwolves were absolutely awful. All right. I think they have 7 wins. They're the worst team in the league. They just fired their coach, Ryan Saunders, and they hired Chris Finch, who's a Toronto Raptors assistant, very highly thought of. A lot of people think that, that Chris Finch was going to be the next hot thing, and that's why the Timberwolves wanted to hire him so quickly, because they wanted to get a head start before, the next round of firings come, and somebody snapped up Chris Finch. All right, so again, I don't know how good of a coach Chris Finch is, but he's pretty highly thought of in the coaching circles. Here. All right, so I understand that NBA players have a lot more power than, athletes in the NFL and even Major League Baseball, right? And that's fine. If you can wield your power, that's fine. If LeBron wants to name who the next coach of the Lakers is, yeah, LeBron can do that, all right? But here's the story that bothers me, all right? So Chris Finch is hired by the Timberwolves. Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum are upset with the Minnesota Timberwolves because the Timberwolves didn't hire David Vanterpool, who was an assistant for the Timberwolves, who used to be an assistant with the Portland Trailblazers, who Damian Lillard plays for. Right? So now Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum, they want to name the coaches on other teams now? I understand if NBA players want to name the coach on their own teams, all right, if they want to wield that power, but now they want to wield the power to name the coaches on other teams? What? Are you kidding me? Kidding me?
Yeah, that's an interesting flex right there.
Right? I mean, they're upset with the Minnesota Timberwolves because the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't hire the guy that they wanted, and they're on another team. Sorry, guys. You have no say-so in who we hire. You don't play for us. Wow. And it's become a story. Why didn't they hire David Vanterpool? Here's why they didn't hire David Vanterpool. Because he was an assistant on the staff that had 7 wins. That's why. If he's so great, why couldn't he make them better than 7 wins, right? Again, that's why David Vanterpool wasn't hired. So, again, NBA players, if you want to exert your muscle and your influence to name your own coach, fine. Just don't try to name coaches on other teams.
You can be disappointed that a guy you work with that you think is going to be a good coach didn't get that job. I mean, but to be upset with the franchise, like the franchise should have. Well, if you like this guy so much, why are you trying to get rid of him? Don't you want him in your locker room still?
Right. All right, straight ahead, Adam Shadoff, Fox 35 sports anchor. He's going to join us to tackle all the hot topics of the day. That is coming your way next on Open Mic.
96.9 The Game, FM, HD, online at
put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog, sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah.
Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in the megalopolis we call Central Florida. Many ways to listen to us: FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740, HD Radio 101.1-2, which is my preferred way of listening now that I found out that I have HD radio in my luxury sedan. If you don't hear us good on FM, go to AM. If you don't hear us good on AM, you can always hear us loud and clear on HD Radio 101.1-2. You can also watch us, by the way. You can watch us on social media, on Twitter, on Twitch, on the YouTube machine. Just go to YouTube, search for Open Mic live stream, and you can see our beautiful faces right this very moment. How do I look today, guys? I have on my media jersey today. I want everybody to know I'm a member of the media. So I got this when I was playing in the Media League softball league back when this is also older than Austin Pastolka. Back when I worked at the Gainesville Sun, and we were the kings of the Media League in softball. Just used to whoop up on Channel 20, on WRUF in Gainesville. We used to whoop them. Gainesville Sun were the kings of the Media League, and I was the captain and the shortstop of the team, and, of course, the leadoff hitter, because I was the fastest white man in Alachua County.
I did see that you're growing your goatee back.
Yeah. What are you growing it back?
Well, like a couple weeks ago, it was like pretty. Maybe you were like on a bit of a shaving strike or something. It was much more defined. Like it's much more. Maybe it was.
That's just the Just for Men.
Oh, is that what that is? I didn't know that. I by the way, shaved my face completely for the first time in like 15 years.
Oh, like a true.
Well, yeah. I did that the other day, but normally I used to have the beard looking thing. Not that I could ever grow like a real life beard, but
I still got the.
Yeah, Trina loves it though. Apparently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. At least she says that, but
of course she does. She loves her little Adam.
It's weird. That's what she calls me too. I don't think I like it.
All right, your next chance at $1,000, 8:10 a.m. this morning. We do it twice every morning, 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m. Make an appointment. John Hammond, Orlando Magic GM, is going to join us at 8:15 to talk about the suddenly red-hot Orlando Magic, who've won 3 in a row now. They play the Detroit Pistons tonight. You can listen to that game. That game's on our air, is it not? On FM 96.9 The Game, on AM 740. We are the home of the Magic, so you can listen to that game tonight. Our spontaneous text question of the day.
Spontaneous text question of the day.
Okay, this is in relation to a story that came out yesterday. The Indianapolis Colts have a wide receiver, Michael Pittman Jr. He is the son of former Tampa Bay Bucs running back Michael Pittman. I believe Michael Pittman was the Bucs' leading rusher when they won their last Super Bowl back in 2001. So Michael Pittman Jr., second-round draft pick of the Indianapolis Colts this past season, he wears number 11. Well, who else wears number 11 but Carson Wentz, the quarterback who the Colts just acquired in a trade from the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, Michael Pittman doesn't want to give up number 11. In fact, he told TMZ Sports, I am number 11. I don't think there's any deal that is going to be done. And what he means by that is sometimes when one player wants a number, like if Carson Wentz were to want number 11, he would offer Michael Pittman Jr. a little cash. And Carson Wentz can certainly afford to pay for that number because he signed a mega deal with the Philadelphia Eagles and then promptly flopped with the Eagles, so he could afford to pay for that. But Michael Pittman said, quote, Yeah, so I spoke to Carson, and he was just seeing how locked in I was on number 11, and I told him I was locked in, and he was like, that's cool, bro, because I'm probably going to switch anyway. All right, Carson Wentz has worn number 11 since his college days at North Dakota State. Michael Pittman Jr. has not worn number 11 very long. He wore number 6 in college. Where did he go to college again? USC?
Yep.
Did he go to USC? Yeah. Yep. And then he started out his Colts career wearing number 86, and then he settled on number 11. I said earlier, if I'm a wide receiver, a number 2, number 3 wide receiver, I'm giving the quarterback whatever number he wants because I want him targeting me more. All right? But that's not the spontaneous text question. The spontaneous text question is, if you were a professional athlete, which number would you wear and why? And we want you to text those in to 50857. Austin Pistolka picked 00 in honor of no one in particular, but we are saying it's in honor of Big Jim Otto, the former center for the Oakland Raiders back in the good old days. Adam wants his number was 21 for prime time, Deion Sanders, and my number was 22 for Mercury Morris, the former Dolphins running back in their heyday in the 70s when they went undefeated. Mercury Morris. I remember when I was a young tyke, I used to put on my Mercury Morris jersey every Sunday and watch the Miami Dolphins. Actually, it wasn't a Mercury Morris jersey. It was a number 22 jersey from Eastside High School. Eastside High School is a high school in Gainesville, all right? And one of our boyhood friend, my older brother's friend, played at Eastside, and he knew I liked number 22, so he stole the number 22 from Eastside High School.
The orange and green, right?
Yeah,
the
orange
Rams.
and green.
The Rams.
Orange and green, yeah, the Eastside Rams, that's right. And he gifted that to me, and I used to wear that number 22 Eastside High School jersey every Sunday when I would watch the Dolphins, because Mercury Morris was number 22.
We don't call that gifting, Mike. We call that dealing and stealing properties, okay?
Yeah. Of course, it took an older teenager to gift me my favorite gift, because of course my dad couldn't do it because he was gone. He ran off with his mistress and left my mom with 7 kids. Thanks, Dad. Anyway.
I have a weird jersey story that this reminds me of. When I was in high school, there was a gal who there it is.
There it is.
Now every time I say gal, I think yeah. So there was there was a gal who
Okay, Rudy.
That's not a sexist term.
Listen, I thought he meant like Rudy, like old time Rudy. I thought you meant like
Rudy Giuliani.
No, he's trying to get back at me after he made those weird jokes.
I just hear, when I hear gal, I just think that like you invited her to the sock hop one night or something.
Of course. But there was a gal who was in my class, and she dated a senior when she was a junior, and so when the senior went off to college, senior year, the classic thing is the football player gives their away jersey to their girlfriend or their date for homecoming, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, no one had this senior's number, and so she went up to the football coach and said, "Hey, can I wear his jersey, please, even though he's not at the school anymore?" And sure enough, high school coach was like, "Well, this is weird, but sure, you can have this." And she wore nobody's number, because his old high school number, just hanging out.
Oh, I thought the story was going to be, it was your number that she wore, and then you two actually went on a date together, and this girl was Liz, and you got married.
Not what it was. Nope.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
From our text line, number 17, in honor of my uncle who coached college baseball and is currently with the Texas Rangers as a coach. That's nice. Number 3, Alex Rodriguez, Seattle Mariners. That was in the pre-steroids day for A-Rod?
Seems like 18.
Number 13, Dan Marino, the best passer ever. Everybody knows the best number 13 for the Dolphins was one Jake Scott. Number 4, because my birthday is 4/4. Keep those coming in. 50857. Somebody just texted in honor of the great Roberto Clemente, number 21. Also, Primetime's number. Number 6, LeBron James. That's the number I like. Number 6, Bobby Cox. Really?
Who wears a manager's number?
I would have never known to wear a manager's number. I wear Tommy Lasorda's number from back in the day.
First of all, it's ridiculous that those guys even wear a jersey. Like, okay, we're out of right-handed pitchers. What are we going to do? I got it.
Don't you worry.
I'm putting myself in.
All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, W245CL Deltona. This is FM 96.9, The Game.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
It's TV time on Open Mic.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Let's hear from Fox 35's own Adam Shadoff.
I love the segments with Adam Shadoff. He usually makes me laugh at some point. He does not, however, make his viewers laugh when he is professionally presenting the sports news on the Fox 35 Sports Zone. That's every weeknight about 11:35 p.m., where he and his colleague Evan Fitzgerald take a deep dive into all the sports happenings in the city of Orlando and the state of Florida and across this fine nation that we live in. Adam, how are you?
I'm good, Bianchi. What's going on?
What's going on? What number, if you were a professional athlete, would you wear?
I wouldn't wear a number because I'd be a professional golfer.
Nice.
Well, what if you were a team sport athlete?
If I was a team sport athlete, double zero.
That's right.
Oh my
On
God.
the 00 train, baby. It's an underrated number.
Very underrated.
Well, yeah, man, Aaron Gordon. So you guys are big Aaron Gordon fans, huh?
Gilbert Arenas, didn't he wear Agent 00?
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Oh, good Lord.
People just don't value zero, do they?
Nice.
Agent 00. Oh wow. All right, Adam Shadoff. Let's play the shout out with Shadoff, shall we?
Shout it out from the rooftop. Woo-hoo! It's time for the Shout Off Shout Out.
Oh, yeah. Native music.
Here we go with the shout out this week, brought to you by Frank Gay Services. If you need an electrician or a plumber and you need them right now, go to frankgayservices.com and they will hook you up. frankgayservices.com. We start off with the Open Mic thought-provoking daily poll. Is the staff being put together by new UCF coach Gus Malzahn better or worse than the staff of former coach Josh Heupel? Better or worse? Mike?
Well, first of all, I get a kick out of UCF fans on social media. A week ago, oh, they were up in arms. How could you hire Gus Malzahn instead of Jeff Lebby? I mean, Gus Malzahn, he's a retread. This guy's old. How can we want Jeff Lebby? And then a week later, I don't know if it was Gus Malzahn's press conference that won him over, but a week later, it's like you're on social media and Gus Malzahn's hiring the best assistant coaching staff of all time. According to UCF fans, they love Gus Malzahn now. They love the staff. It's so much better than Josh Heupel's staff. Again, I don't know how good Gus Malzahn's staff is. It looks like these coaches are good coaches. They have a lot of experience, some of them. He's got a mixture of youth and experience. He's got coaches with NFL experience, obviously college experience. He's also got coaches with a high school experience. But is this better than Josh Heupel's staff? I have no idea. I think Josh Heupel's staff was good enough to win a bunch of games at UCF, so I'm going to reserve judgment on this one.
Boy, I hate to do this, but I am also in Bianchi's same boat there. As far as name recognition, I mean, Heupel had a former Miami head coach in Randy Shannon on the staff, so he loses the name recognition aspect of this. But yeah, I'm with Bianchi. We have no idea. We just don't have any idea if G.J. Kinney is going to be a good offensive coordinator. Who knows? I mean, he was pretty good at Tulsa when he played, but I don't know what he's going to be like as a coach. So I'm also going to reserve judgment. We'll wait and see. But if you're asking UCF fans now, the vitriol for Josh Heupel leaving and taking people with him, that's there. So they're going to say that Gus Malzahn's staff is better.
With 89% of the vote, this is a way better staff, according to the audience.
Yeah.
Supplemental poll number 1. If you had to pick one, what should be the top priority of the Orlando Magic for the rest of the season? Making the playoffs or building for the future? Adam.
Well, I guess by building for the future, you're saying tanking, really. So, I mean, or getting experience for the younger guys. I mean, making the playoffs is not out of the picture right now because when they get a short number of players back that can be available and healthy, they're pretty good. And the East is also terrible. But I mean, I guess they should just be considering the future at this point. It would be better for them to get another high draft pick, but it's just the injuries from the Magic. That's all.
Oh, you know how I feel. I think making the playoffs is what they should be playing. In fact, making the playoffs, in my opinion, is building for the future, because when you make the playoffs, you get a winner's attitude. You're in the playoffs. You gain that postseason experience. That's all that matters. Nobody cares about the regular season. All anybody cares about in sports is the postseason, all right? So if you get to the playoffs and gain that postseason experience, even if you're losing in the first round, that's good. That's helping you build for the future. Maybe it helps the free agent say, hey, this team's in the playoffs every year. I'm going to go there, and maybe I can push them over the top. So I think making the playoffs is building for the future. In fact, maybe the most important thing for building for the future.
With 63% of the vote, building for the future wins this one.
Okay.
Supplemental poll number 2. Should the Jaguars consider drafting BYU quarterback Zach Wilson number 1 instead of Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence? Yes or no, Mike?
Well, again, it would be a gutsy move on their part if their talent scouts and talent evaluators think that Zach Wilson is the better quarterback. Now, there are some scouts out there who are starting to say Zach Wilson is a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence. But again, Trevor Lawrence is considered by most to be the can't-miss guy. He's got to be the number 1 pick. Again, I think it would take a lot of guts for the Jaguars to do that. But if their scouts determine that Zach Wilson's the better quarterback, then absolutely I think that they should take him. But and here's another reason. If Zach Wilson could face the UCF defense in the Boca Bowl as an NFL quarterback every game, then they should definitely take Zach Wilson.
Let me ask you this. Did Zach Wilson write this question and post this tweet to you guys? Because the answer is no. Bianchi and I both saw Zach Wilson in Boca, and he was great against the second-string UCF players. And I know that he's been great all season long, and he's thrown for a ton of yards and all that. But we're talking about Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent, and you cannot pass on that kind of a player.
With 84% of the vote, no! Don't draft BYU quarterback. Draft Trevor Lawrence. Don't be stupid.
What? We should have worded that differently. We should have worded it, if Jacksonville's scouting department has determined that Zach Wilson is the better quarterback, should they draft him? Because I still think it would be a gutsy. I still think it would be a gutsy move, even if they thought Zach Wilson would be the best quarterback for them to draft Zach Wilson.
Fans would revolt.
Supplemental poll number 3. In the wake of the comments made by Rudy Giuliani about looking at the panties of professional golfer Michelle Wie West, how much sexism do female athletes still have to endure? And this is the weirdest one that I've ever yelled for. So much sexism! All caps, exclamation points. A fair amount of sexism, some sexism, or no sexism at all. We will start with Adam on this one.
Well, I mean, I'm in a unique position here because my wife is a professional athlete. She's a pro golfer. There's an LPGA event in town this week. We've got another pro golfer staying at our house. I know all these women. I know Michelle Wie. And the answer is so much with exclamation points like you have no idea. You have no idea what the Twitter mentions and the feed, the messages and the Instagram messages, what it looks like for these women. It's not, great tournament, or, you made a great eagle, or it's all about looks and how their body and inappropriate stuff. It's an outrageous amount of stuff that these women have to deal with.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Adam on this. Obviously, he has a lot more expertise than I do, but yeah, not just female athletes, female media members. I mean, we've seen these baseball executives sexually harassing female reporters. Females in any company have to deal with a lot of sexism. So again, I agree with Adam. So much sexism.
With 49.5% of the vote, so much sexism wins this one. Supplemental poll number 4. What are you most intrigued about watching on TV tonight that's not in the UK? Yeah, wow, okay.
And are you being served on tonight?
Your choices are a new episode of Young Rock, the show about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's childhood. A new episode of Chopped, one of the great cooking reality shows or game shows out there. Celtics at Mavericks, or in college basketball, Florida at Auburn. Mike.
I'm gonna go Magic versus Pistons.
Oh, is that on TV tonight? I forgot. I'm going to the game. So
I'm going Magic
Austin only
versus
thinking
Pistons.
of himself because he's got tickets.
That's right, brother.
Yeah. If I'm going non-sports, I'm going the show about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, although I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching the Fox 35 Sports Zone tonight at 11:30 on Fox 35. After that, of the options listed, I guess Florida Auburn, although none of them are really doing it for me.
43% of the vote says Florida at Auburn wins this one. Sorry. The open mic would you rather poll. Which conspiracy theory would you rather know the truth about? Whether the Illuminati is real or the truth about the JFK assassination. Mike.
Oh, come on. This isn't even close. I mean, JFK, obviously. You want to know if Lee Harvey Oswald was acting alone. You want to know if LBJ maybe had something to do with it. Maybe Richard Nixon. Maybe the Russians. We don't know. Maybe Fidel Castro had something to do with it as well. I would love to know the truth behind that.
Yeah, well, one of those things is a real thing that happened, and one of those things is not a thing. So I'm with Bianchi. I want to know where the grassy knoll, what happened on the grassy knoll there, and I'm going with the JFK assassination.
Wow, man, bold statement. Hope the Illuminati doesn't come after you, Adam. 63% of the vote says the JFK assassination is what they want to know the truth about.
I didn't know FSU, an FSU player had something to do with JFK, the grassy knoll. Man,
grassy what? What
FSU Knowles? Get it?
Oh, that was a stretch. Ooh.
Wow,
is that bad?
I mean, you tried.
What I meant to say was the sassy knoll, Deion Sanders.
Why don't you have the trombone ready when he has the
there are times where I'm like, maybe I should just dump this joke. Maybe we should just, not let it go to air.
Yeah, we need that sound effect, the wah, wah, the trombone sound effect. Yeah, we need that one. Adam Shadoff, we will see you on the Fox 35 Sports Zone 11:30. Thank you.
All right, guys. See ya.
Straight ahead, John Hammond, Magic GM, will join us, and we'll ask him, why are the Magic playing better? Is it just they're getting healthy? That's next on Open Mic.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword, $.
sports the way you want it. We are FM 96.9 The Game, Orlando's only game in town.
I've come here to say one magic word to you.
Say the magic word.
What is the magic word?
I wish I could play professional basketball.
Then I'll just say the magic words.
The magic word. Every Tuesday at this time, we hear from an Orlando Magic personality. We call the segment The Magic Word. This week, our magic word comes from Orlando Magic General Manager John Hammond. John, we appreciate you joining us this morning. You're one of our favorite guests.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be with you. Appreciate you.
John, before we get into the magic, I have a hypothetical for you, all right? Do you follow the NFL at all?
Sure.
Okay, so Trevor Lawrence is the clear-cut, everybody thinks he's the number one draft pick. The Jacksonville Jaguars should take Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence, all right? He's supposed to be a generational talent. But there is another school of thought that BYU's quarterback, Zach Wilson, might actually be the better prospect. As a guy who's drafted players obviously in a different sport, is there any pressure on talent evaluators, GMs, guys who are making draft picks to take the popular choice, even though maybe your scouts say that the other guy is better?
Wow, Mike. That's such an interesting discussion. And I tell you, you better be really grounded on your beliefs if you don't take Trevor Lawrence. The part of playing out in that part of the country to a certain extent, BYU, the program, the visibility versus Clemson and BYU, boy, I think it would be hard to pass on Trevor Lawrence. Okay,
all right. But you also would have to trust what your scouts say, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. You have to trust what your scouts say. You do. But at the end of the day, that's your pick. That's not their pick. And if that pick works, you're going to get credit for it. If that pick doesn't work, you're going to get blamed for it.
All right, the Magic on a 3-game winning streak, starting to get healthier. Is that what it is? Just starting to get healthier? Why is the Magic playing better right now?
Man, Mike, you can talk about why a team is competitive and successful, and you can talk about they defend well, they rebound well. Maybe they're a cohesive group, they're shooting the three well. All these factors, but nothing probably, Mike, more important than health and player availability. And if you look at our season thus far, what's put us behind the 8-ball early in the season thus far is the fact that we just have been just bombarded by injury. And look, we just get some players back. We get Alpha Camino back on the floor. We get Michael Carter-Williams back on the floor. We get Evan Fournier back on the floor. And all of a sudden, you're right, we win 3 in a row. So you hate to get that simplistic, but sometimes you have to say health and what that means to a team.
Also, what's it mean to a team, John? Obviously, Nick Vucevic, Evan Fournier, Terrence Ross, those are sort of the veteran nucleus on your team. They've been here quite some time. They've been through some losing, but these guys are playing lights out right now, especially during this 3-game winning streak. What's it mean for these guys to go out every night and play hard and sort of say, hey, guys, we still can make the playoffs. This is how you do it.
Mike, it's really all about that and you know why, like, those 3 guys do that is because they're high-quality, high-character people. It'd be so easy for a guy like Vooch to give in or a guy like T. Ross to give in. Evan, he could say, look, I'll take a little more time to come back from this injury. A guy like that's not doing that. He's putting himself out there and playing as soon as he possibly can, and they do that because the people they are and what they stand for as a person.
Vooch as an all-star. Obviously, I know you're biased, but does this guy deserve to be an all-star this year? And if so, why?
Well, yes, he does. You can talk about bias, but Mike, there's other people that deserve to be all-stars as well. But from our seat and from my seat, Vooch does for sure. And you can say, why does he? Well, first of all, you just look at his production. Look what he's done as an individual player. And you could say, look what he's done even for this team. Where would we be without him? I go back again and say that, at a certain point, it was just he and T. Ross out there as far as when you talk about those veteran guys, because Evan wasn't available to play, and all the other injuries that we were dealing with. And I kept looking at Vooch and going, man, when's he going to like take one off? When's he going to take a game off? And I'm not talking about not play, but not give that 100% effort, not play as hard as he does every single night. He doesn't do it. The guy just goes out and plays hard every single night, and the production and the person. That's why he deserves it.
Orlando Magic GM John Hammond right here on Open Mic. John, obviously trade deadline coming up. People are speculating on if the Magic are going to make a move. I'm curious, can you just talk a little bit about the fine line that team executives walk in, quote-unquote, building through the future and trying to make the playoffs? I mean, what's more important?
Well, there's nothing like having some kind of success and being a competitive organization. That the fact that we've made the playoff 2 years in a row after having a number of years without making the playoffs, I think that was important for us as an organization. It'd be fun to do it 3 years in a row. But Mike, I mean, no one is ever not losing sight of the big picture. Mm-hmm. And, we always talk about this. Players don't play to just be good and be competitive. Players play to win championships. Coaches don't coach just to be good and to be competitive. They coach to win championships. Our fans, I know that they don't support our team just so that we're good and competitive. They
Mm-hmm.
want us to win a championship, and we want that as well. But we have to say, what's our best route in getting there, and how can we get there? And, look, sport, there's so many things that are involved in sport. We just talked about that, about, a team playing well, injuries, all those factors. But, man, somewhere along the way, you need a break. You need to get, a little bit of luck on your side. And sometimes here in this organization, the luck has been the number one pick for to get a guy like Shaq or get a guy like Dwight Howard, and what those guys mean in your organization. Or somewhere along the pick, it could be a pick that's a 10th pick or a 12th pick or an 8th pick that could be that difference maker. You never know where it's going to come.
John, last one. I've always wanted to ask you this question. Obviously, you started out as a coach, all right? And I believe your first job was as a high school coach in Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken. What do you remember about that, and what have you continued to carry with you from your days as a high school coach?
It was such a great experience to do that, and such a fond memory to do something like that. And there's a part of you that as you sit here today with an opportunity like this that I've had over my career to be a part of the NBA for the number of years that I have, there's a certain satisfaction to say I started at that level and was able to work my way up through the ranks, becoming a high school coach, and then moving into the collegiate level and then into the NBA level. But I love that opportunity that I had. To be honest with you, I still stay in contact with some of those guys that I coached in Pawnee City, Nebraska, and fond memories and memories I'll never forget.
Co-host Austin Pastolkas from Nebraska. You know where Pawnee City is, Austin?
Oh, yeah. I love Pawnee City.
Yeah. No way he knows where Pawnee City is. There's no way.
He probably doesn't. He's a good bluffer, though. He's
I
a
don't know
good
what you're
bluffer.
talking about, Mike. I know all about Pawnee City, Nebraska.
He's
the
Googling
great small
Pawnee's-
town of Pawnee City. I believe it's a Class C or Class D school, possibly.
That's right. It was Class C when I was. That's okay. Good.
It's
choice,
probably
Mike. It was
Class
C when I was there. It's D now.
Yeah, I was going to say probably Class D now, along with Wilcox Hildreth, where my siblings go to. So.
And Mike, there is a very famous person from Pawnee City, a comedian. If you really knew,
Larry the Cable Guy. Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh, unbelievable! You guys, you got it. I think that really, I had one of the guys that I coached, and we went back in years, and we think that maybe I might have had him in kindergarten PE when at that point in his life, but I'm not sure about that. But it's fun to talk about.
You know, Larry the Cable Guy's a friend of the show. We have him on quite a bit. You know, he actually got his start in comedy calling in the radio shows in Orlando. He was doing stand-up at the time, and he started calling in the radio shows as Larry the Cable Guy, and that's how he got his start in comedy. Did you know that, John Hammond?
See, you learn something every day, and here I am learning something about Larry the Cable Guy. I need it.
John Hammond, we always appreciate it. That's why you're one of our favorite guests. You can talk more than just basketball. You can talk comedy. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Mike.
There you have it, John Hammond. Love that guy. All right, right around the corner, it's The Bridge with Mark Daniels.